Zoe Carter grew up in a world that always seemed to whisper the same quiet lie: you are not enough. The lie floated in the hallways of her high school in Seattle, drifted through the glossy pages of fashion magazines, echoed in social media feeds, and sometimes even hid inside well-meaning advice from adults who thought pressure created success. From the outside, Zoe looked like she had everything together: good grades, a polite smile, and a talent for sketching that made her teachers nod with approval. But inside, she carried a constant ache, a sense that no matter what she achieved, it was never quite sufficient. Someone was always smarter. Someone was always prettier. Someone was always more confident. And Zoe measured herself against them like a ruler that only knew how to shrink. Her room became both her sanctuary and her battlefield. On one wall, she taped sketches of city skylines and portraits she had drawn late at night. On the other, she kept a corkboard of goals: get into a top university, win an art competition, lose 10 pounds, wake up earlier, be more outgoing, smile more. The list grew longer every month. Each goal, once accomplished, brought only a fleeting rush of relief before another replaced it. It was as if she was running on a treadmill of expectations that never slowed down. When she received an award for her artwork, her classmates applauded, and her parents beamed with pride. Zoe smiled for pictures, but later that night, she stared at the trophy and thought, it was just luck. I could have done better. They'll expect more next time. Comparison became her quiet addiction. She scrolled through curated lives online: perfect vacations, flawless selfies, acceptance letters from prestigious schools. Every image felt like evidence in a case against her worth. She began to edit herself in real life the way others edited photos. She laughed a little softer, spoke a little less, hid her opinions when they felt too bold. She believed that if she could just become a more polished version of herself, she would finally feel complete. But the more she tried to shrink into what she thought the world wanted, the more invisible she felt. One afternoon, during her senior year, Zoe stayed after school to finish a mural she had been commissioned to paint in the hallway. It was a sprawling piece, a sunrise breaking over mountains, light spilling across a valley. As she mixed colors, her art teacher, Mrs. Ramirez, paused behind her. "You always paint light beautifully," she said gently. Zoe shrugged. "I mess up a lot before it looks right." Mrs. Ramirez smiled. "That's not messing up. That's layering. Depth only comes from layers." The words lingered in Zoe's mind long after she went home. Depth only comes from layers. She wondered what her own layers looked like: the insecurities, the late-night doubts, the relentless striving. Could those be part of her depth rather than proof of her inadequacy? Graduation arrived in a blur of gowns and camera flashes. Zoe was accepted into a respected university in Chicago to study design. Everyone congratulated her, calling her talented and driven. Yet on the night before she left home, she sat on her bedroom floor surrounded by half-packed boxes and felt a familiar wave of fear. What if she wasn't as talented as they thought? What if she was just good in a small pond and would drown in a bigger one? The fear followed her onto the plane and into her dorm room, where she met her roommate, a confident girl named Aria who spoke excitedly about internships and future startups. Zoe listened, nodding, already comparing. College was louder, faster, and far more competitive than high school. Critiques in her design classes were brutal and honest. Professors dissected projects under bright lights while students scribbled notes. The first time Zoe presented her work, her voice trembled. A classmate suggested her concept lacked originality. Another questioned her color choices. Though the comments were meant to help, they pierced her like tiny arrows. That evening, she walked along the windy streets near campus, the city lights reflecting on the river, and wondered if she had made a mistake coming here. Maybe she wasn't extraordinary. Maybe she was just average. For weeks, she retreated into herself. She worked obsessively, sleeping only a few hours each night, trying to produce something undeniable. Her sketches filled entire notebooks. Yet the more she chased perfection, the more exhausted she became. One night, after submitting a project she had reworked a dozen times, she received a B+. The grade felt like confirmation of her deepest fear. She locked herself in a bathroom stall and cried quietly, embarrassed by her own reaction. A B+ was objectively good. But to Zoey, it meant she was slipping. The turning point came unexpectedly during a group project. Zoey was paired with 3 classmates to design a community art installation. At first, she stayed quiet, letting others pitch ideas. But as the discussion dragged on, she felt a flicker of frustration. She had an idea, one that scared her because it was personal. The installation could focus on self-worth, inviting people to write affirmations on mirrored panels, confronting their own reflections with kindness instead of criticism. Her heart pounded as she shared it, bracing for dismissal. Instead, the group fell silent. Then Arya, who happened to be in the same class, said softly, "That's powerful." The others nodded, building on the concept enthusiastically. As they worked on the installation over the next month, Zoey poured her heart into it. She designed each mirrored panel with subtle etchings of phrases like, "You are becoming," and "You are allowed to take up space." During the public unveiling, students and community members approached the mirrors hesitantly. One by one, they wrote messages to themselves, "I am resilient. I forgive myself. I am worthy of love." Zoey watched a middle-aged woman wipe away tears as she traced her own reflection. In that moment, Zoey realized something profound. The very struggle she had tried to hide was the source of her most meaningful work. The success of the installation didn't magically erase her insecurities. Doubt still visited her, especially during quiet nights when deadlines loomed. But something had shifted. She began to question the voice that told her she was not enough. She noticed how often it borrowed other people's standards, beauty ideals, career timelines, social expectations, and presented them as universal truths. She started asking herself, enough for whom? According to what? The questions loosened the grip of comparison. Zoey also began to practice a small, radical habit. Each morning, before checking her phone, she wrote one sentence in a notebook: "Today, I am enough because." Some days, the answer was simple, "Because I am trying." Other days, "Because I care deeply," or "Because I showed up even when I was scared." The exercise felt awkward at first, almost indulgent. But over time, it rewired something inside her. She stopped waiting for external validation to grant her worth. She started building it from within. During her junior year, Zoey applied for a prestigious internship at a design firm in New York. The application process was rigorous, and she nearly talked herself out of it. The old voice whispered that she wasn't ready, that rejection would confirm her inadequacy. But a newer, steadier voice responded, "Your value is not on trial." She submitted her portfolio anyway. Weeks later, when she received a rejection email, the disappointment stung, but it did not devastate her. She allowed herself to feel sad without turning it into a verdict about her identity. Then she applied elsewhere and eventually secured an internship at a smaller firm that appreciated her community-centered design approach. She designed campaigns encouraging young girls to pursue creative careers. She facilitated workshops where teenagers explored art as a form of self-expression. In guiding them, she often heard echoes of her younger self, the fear of not measuring up, the habit of shrinking. She found herself telling them what she had once needed to hear: "Your perspective matters. You don't have to be anyone else to be valuable." Each time she said it, she believed it more deeply. By the time Zoey graduated from college, she no longer chased perfection as fiercely. She still worked hard, still set ambitious goals, but her motivation had shifted. She was no longer trying to earn her worth, she was expressing it. She understood that growth did not require self-rejection. She could strive for excellence while accepting herself in the present moment. The two were not opposites, they were partners. Years later, Zoey stood in a gallery showcasing her first solo exhibition. The collection was titled, "Enough." Each piece explored themes of identity, comparison, and self-acceptance. One painting depicted a young woman standing before a cracked mirror, light streaming through the fractures. Another showed a figure shedding layers of transparent masks. Visitors moved slowly through the space, reading the accompanying reflections Zoey had written. When a teenage girl approached her with shining eyes and said, "Your work makes me feel seen," Zoey felt a quiet, steady pride, not because she had achieved external success, but because she had turned her vulnerability into connection. That night, after the gallery closed, Zoey lingered alone among her paintings. She thought about the girl she had been, the one who believed she needed to be thinner, smarter, louder, quieter, more polished, more everything. She wished she could step back into that bedroom in Seattle, sit beside her younger self, and say, "You don't have to earn your place in this world. You already have it." But perhaps the journey had been necessary. The layers, the doubts, the comparisons, they had all shaped her depth. Owning her value did not mean she never struggled again. Life continued to present challenges, projects that failed, relationships that ended, moments of uncertainty. But she met them differently. Instead of asking, "What is wrong with me?" she asked, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of shrinking, she allowed herself to take up space. She celebrated her strengths without apology and acknowledged her weaknesses without shame. She understood that being enough was not a finish line to cross, it was a truth to remember. Zoey's story is not about becoming extraordinary in the eyes of the world. It is about recognizing that extraordinariness is not a prerequisite for worth. You do not have to be the best to be valuable. You do not have to be flawless to be lovable. Your scars are not evidence of failure, they are proof of survival. Your voice, however shaky, deserves to be heard. Your dreams, however ambitious, deserve to be pursued, not because achieving them will finally make you enough, but because you already are. In the end, Zoey learned that self-worth is not found in applause or accolades. It is found in the quiet decision to accept yourself fully, even as you grow. It is found in speaking kindly to your reflection, in daring to share your ideas, in forgiving your mistakes. It is found in understanding that comparison is a thief and authenticity is freedom. And most importantly, it is found in the unwavering belief that you are not a project to be fixed but a person to be valued. If Zoey could leave one message etched into every mirror in the world, it would be this: you are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to be imperfect and still worthy. The world does not need a filtered version of you. It needs your real, layered, resilient self. And no matter where you stand today, at the beginning of your journey or in the middle of your doubts, remember this unshakable truth: you were enough before you achieved a single thing, and you will remain enough long after the applause fades.